So we finally get to see a little bit more of Zeno's past. Prior to him pretty much getting his huge harem with girls like this guy right here, the Iron Rose chick from the aristocrats, and then this girl right here, part of the ogre gang, and then of course Lily, the elf that he saved and is pretty much living with him. But as you guys can see here, this is how they found him. They found him in the slums, pretty much just a nobody. He was a nobody, and the guy who recruited him really thought he was a nobody. I believe, yeah, his name was Aston. So Aston finds Xenos to make him join his party for adventuring. And eventually, they really don't, value him at all. They weren't even paying him a penny. You can see here, he's really just dogging on him, saying that, yeah, you're just a nobody who lives in the slums. You might as well just come and adventure with us. Even though people from the slums are not known for, going adventuring. And it's actually a huge, embarrassment for anyone from the slums to go out adventuring or become part of these groups. And so, of course, you could see here, and this is what makes them the biggest loser. This was just a really sad episode, just to see, when people just become, the biggest losers ever, because they really missed their shot on this one. They really, they thought they made a swoosh into a basketball hoop, but they really just missed the whole hoop itself. So you can see here, he's thinking, wow, that was pretty easy. So when he's battling, they think, oh, it's just so easy, even though, it was actually just Xenos buffing them, protecting them, healing them, and just overall providing all the firepower without them even really knowing it. And so they finally go out here without Xenos for the first time in a long time, because they've been enjoying their spoils, hanging out with aristocrats and all these politicians and whatnot, and just trying to get in their good side. And so they go out adventuring to hunt these wolf demon things for a scarf, for one of the aristocrats' daughter's birthday. So they go out here, and this is probably the saddest performance. This is the most embarrassing performance ever. So you can see here, he cast the protection spell, which of course it was probably just Xenos protecting them, and not this dude. This dude probably, his protection is probably subpar compared, or even lower tier than Xenos. So they really think they got this in a bag. You know what I'm saying? They really, when you go out there and you just totally waffle the whole thing, and you just fucking fail. So yeah, so they're right here. He was like, all right, cast your protection spell. Look at their confidence. Look at their demeanor. They got their chest all pumped up. They got, they're just so full of confidence. They're so full of vigor. They just can't wait to go back to their drinking, to hang out and just chill. And then you can see here the smirk on his face. And he's just like, whoa, this is gonna be such a walk in the park. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here. I'm goddamn Thor, whatever the fuck. He's like, I feel good about this. And so of course, things start out pretty, pretty all right. He's dodging some of the attacks, but then sooner than later, look at this guy, damn near head lopped off by that bite. And so, of course, later on, we find out this dude is pretty much, yeah, his name's Ashton, I guess. He's pretty much MIA now from here on out. He's not gonna be able to adventure anymore from that wound, is what we learn. Then of course here, none of his spells are really working. And as you guys can see here, these guys are just big fat losers. They're not really that skilled. They're not really that professional. And they're over here wondering, like, damn, why do we suck so bad? Why is this happening? And even the guy Aston was like, damn, maybe it was Xenos. But of course, guys, Xenos is like a unicorn. You're not supposed to have a strong healing as strong as what he does. Hinted in episode 1, and of course made obvious in episode 2 and 3. He was obviously, greater than a saint or sage when it comes to healing, and he has protection, as you saw in episode 3, that just defies logic. He can protect himself from spells greater than the high Krishna. Yeah, attacks from Krishna. She's like really powerful knight. And so she's really surprised and hints that, yeah, this guy is above, you know, above any tier she's ever really met. And she thought, so we can see the evidence there, guys, that, you know, Zenos is not really your typical magic user. And of course, so I can kind of get where Ashton went wrong. You know, he didn't realize that it was actually Zenos doing everything. So I can't really dog on him that much. You know, he had a unicorn and he totally just threw it away like a used rag, you know. And so things got even worse for him. Things got even worse. So he hires this other healer, and the other healer's like, why are you hiring me? You guys are supposed to be the great Golden Phoenix, you know, adventuring guild or whatever they are. And then of course here you go back to try to complete the mission. As you can see here, she's just like, what the hell, bro? What are you doing? This dude needs actual medical help. We're totally dying out here. So of course they come out again as the biggest fucking losers again, with the biggest fucking L once again. And so yeah, things were not looking too hot for them. But of course Ashton right here eventually, yeah, it gets even worse here. They're like, yeah, you guys are getting fired, you guys are embarrassment, why are you doing this? And so he's like, I'll make it up, don't worry about it. Still has that smirk on his face. He really needs to get slapped in the face again. But of course, you know, after losing half his party once again, you know, probably even losing his life, he still hasn't learned his lesson. Of course, he comes here to talk to one of the leaders, the lizard man, and she just laughs on him and just dogs him, pretty much calling him trash, calling him names, saying, oh, you guys are the pieces of shits that kicked out Zenos. And so she's like, yeah, don't bother him or don't do anything. You know, it's like, bro, you have no business with Zenos. Run on home. Like, person you're looking for has better things to do than put up with your nonsense. You can see here, she's really just defending Zenos once again, sticking out her neck. But yeah, guys, these guys had no chill, just dogging on him. And of course here he meets Liga, this guy right here, and then of course she just dogs on him as well. Like, damn, you guys are the people who kicked out Zenos. All right, losers. Like, bro, this was just a huge episode just to bully this guy. I was honestly starting to feel bad for him, like, because of how much they were just dogging us. See, look, bro, he just called them roaches that you find in the toilet. What the hell, man? Liga has no time for toilet roaches, bro. Oh, bro, that is hilarious, man. Hey, W Liga, man. So toilet roaches, that's a good one. Make that the title of this video here. But yeah, guys, if you guys haven't seen this anime, it has really been a great episode so far. So the Golden Phoenix faces difficulties defeating the magical beast without Zeno's healing skills, highlighting their mistake and underestimating him. Of course, like I already explained that part. Aston, unable to admit his error, lashes out on his teammates and seeks to recruit Zenos back. In the slums, Zenos continues to build his reputation as a shadow healer, gaining allies like Krishna, the knight who previously suspected him of wrongdoing, but now sees his value after he saves her. So you can see here she's also dogging on him, wrongdoing, but now he sees his value after he saves her. Krishna now becomes a recruiting ally, as those Zenos helps Tetsu stay close. Okay, so Aston attempts to locate Zenos are met with resistance, notably from Zofia, a demi-human gang leader who mocks and rejects the party's request. Aston's pride and denial prevent him from acknowledging Zenos' worth. So yeah, even after all this dogging, after all this, he still just doesn't see Zenos as valuable. And so this is why I think he really got his just desserts. And then and like I said, I was feeling bad for him, but then I stopped feeling bad for him after the end of the episode. Because this is just a big walking L, and he still doesn't want to admit that Zenos is actually valuable. Then right here, she dogs on him, kicks him out. What does she say? What does she call him? Let's see. Bro, look at her canine teeth. WK9 teeth. Kicks them out, and then he goes to see this Was that all three? Yeah, that was all three. The lizard, the wolfie, and the ogre chick. But yeah, guys, this episode was just such a good episode. It really just showcased how valuable Zenos is and how everyone just started dogging on him, and then they were all just coming here at the table and just talking about it. Okay, that is all, guys. Peace.